Good day and greetings from the Great White North. My name is Prickly Poo and welcome to day 359 of a year of change. Today we're going to I don't want to say wrap up all of our topics, but I wanted to sort of take a look back at some of the different topics that we had spoken of throughout the year. And although we've sort of touched on a little bit of everything, from physical things like sleep apnea to emotional things like relationships, social issues, like the fact that we get paid less than thin people, just in general how people see us and everything else. There's not really one unifying thing that sort of ties everything together, but I think that at the forefront of almost every issue that we've always had, there's always been that sense of that self image issue, that shame of how we look and how we feel in general. Um, and I don't know if that's ever going to go away. I sort of briefly touched on this. Well, not briefly, but I did touch on this last week as well. That I always feel like I'm going to be the fat kid. I'm always going to be that fat person in any group. It doesn't really matter. Um, I think that there is going to come a time when I'm with a group of friends and it dawns on me that like I'm not the fat one anymore. But I'm always going to feel that same sense of like all over the place. Um, and I think that a lot of us feel that way, but it's been sort of a push for us. And I know that in the past has been a push as well that, I need to lose weight. I hate being, the way that I am. I hate looking how I look. I hate feeling how I feel. And you do hear people that will say, well, you need to come from a place of love, not a place from hate. It's like, well, hate's a very strong word, but it's accurate. And it's a very good motivator for what we've tried to do over the past year. That it's not just a matter of, I really want to get in shape and get so I look good and I can do this for myself and my family and my friends and everyone else. When it comes right down to it, we hate how we look and we wanted to change that. And whether you've lost 20 pounds or 50 pounds or 100 pounds or 200 pounds, it doesn't matter. We are working towards that. And I think that it's still good. Not necessarily the best way to do it, but for what we're trying to do, it's still good motivation. That we can look back at how we were and be able to say, I never want to get back there again. I never want to get let myself go as much as I did before. I never want to get back to 325 pounds, ever. Now that I'm at, roughly 230-ish, I never want to get back to 250 or, 275. Like, when I think even 250, I have to gain 20 pounds in order to get to that point, which is a hell of a lot easier than losing 20 pounds, admittedly. But that sort of keeps us going, or keeps me going anyway, in that, I want to keep seeing those numbers drop down. And then when they get down to a certain range, then I'm going to start exercising, and I know they're probably going to go up again, but it's just so that I can, look okay. But there are other things that we've run into throughout the year that I think help us as well. And we haven't really ever hit anything massive, any really large milestone that we can go, this is the day we hit it here. After this, it's just smooth sailing. We don't have any huge miraculous things that have happened to us over the course of this year that say, well, what we're doing is working. A lot of it though is just, not going to contradict myself. I didn't even say anything. A lot of it, they're small victories, and they mean a lot when you finally realize them, and you don't always realize them right away. It's not like you wake up one morning and go, oh, well, this is the first day that this has happened or that's happened. It's generally to a point where you've been doing something, and then it dawns on you that you're doing it in a new way. I had mentioned this before as well. I can't tell you the exact day that I started putting on my socks without making a noise, but I do it now, and it's great. It's such a weird thing. It's not saying, well, the first time I was ever able to run a marathon. Those are loftier goals that are way, way down the line. But we're talking about realistic, practical things that have sort of dawned on us. That, it shows that what we're doing, it's working. And, being able to get out of a chair without grunting. There's a good one. Walking all the way from my car to my front door without sweating. That's another good one. And even if you want to go loftier and say going up a flight of stairs and not being out of breath at the top, or being able to go on a walk that I've gone with friends before, but actually able to finish it, or I'm not the one who's the most out of breath every time. Little weird things like that. Going into your closet, finding clothes that you haven't worn in 2 years that they fit, or better yet, that they're too big now, which I haven't run into that yet. Actually, I know it's been a while since I've actually tried to go into my closet and try to find other clothes. I'm wearing the same clothes now for quite a while, so I might do that. Of course, then you run the risk of just it being depressing going, nope, I haven't fit into these yet, which I don't think I am. So that's probably why I haven't tried it. But all these little things that sort of build up and build up and build up, I think it's important every once in a while to go and take a look at it because they're little successes that you should be proud of. And not in a, pretend, oh, your kid brings home a macaroni and glue thing and, oh, you should be so proud, let's put it on the fridge. You shouldn't be. When the fuck do dogs ever have 7 legs? Crumple it up, throw it in the garbage, it's shit. We all know it's shit, but you do it anyway. But anyway, it's not like a false sense of pride for something like that. And that's not something that we're going to be boasting to someone about and say, hey, guess who can put socks on without making noises? Yes, this guy. It's not something that we can, brag to other people about. These are little things that mean something to us, though. And it's a little difficult for people to understand outside of us because, they don't live with it. There may be some people that are out there that are the same weight or heavier than we are that, yeah, they get it, but it's still not going to have the same impact that it does with us. And I think it's important every once in a while, just especially where we're sort of progressing onward, that we keep these in mind because we are going to run into situations where, we don't really seem to be making any progress on the scale or off the scale. We aren't improving, or you're getting sort of stagnant, or worse yet, you're getting lethargic and you just don't want to do it anymore. And try to think back, not necessarily to the points where you were thinking, well, I was eating 5 and 6 bowls of macaroni and cheese for a single meal and then half a loaf of bread with toast, or to make toast, not with toast, because that would be an entire loaf of bread. But, not trying to think of, well, this is how I used to be and I don't want to be there anymore, so I need to push forward. But trying to look at all the little things that have sort of come about over the past year. Obviously, buying new clothes is a big thing. That's so far, still have not done that. But being able to fit into proper clothing is good. The not making noise when you're getting out of a chair or getting out of bed or putting on clothes or doing anything that, makes you do anything other than either lay down or sit. That is a big thing for me. I couldn't tell you what day it was that I finally went, hey, I didn't make a noise. But, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, but that's something that, I don't do that anymore. I don't go when I'm getting out of bed. I don't have to literally roll out of bed anymore. I can actually sit up and get out of a bed or, stand up out of a chair without bracing myself and like leaning on things and everything else because just trying to support my weight. And like I say, I couldn't tell you what the day it was that it happened or what day it was that it happened, but it's something I can look back on and just go like, that's an improvement. Even if you don't include like exercise or anything like that, just little things like saying I get full after one plate of something. I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, and there are little things that you can look at and say, I feel much better at this now, or I don't know what I'm trying to say with that. Feel much better at this. That doesn't make any sense as a sentence, no matter what context you put it in. All right, we're going to start this over. I'm going to finish my sentences first. I should actually start the whole thing over, but I'm not going to because we're already on a roll. I've already got the main information out there. Now I just need to clarify so that you can understand. And I don't blame you because I sound like a babbling idiot. Anyway, when you see all these little things that sort of come together and give you a rough picture of what your success has been like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a weight loss thing. It doesn't have to be that, well, at 30 pounds, then, I did this, and then at 50 pounds or whatever. Just being able to look at where you are now compared to where you were a year ago, that's going to be enough, I find, for a lot of us anyway, to just keep going. It's not going to be something that is, going to make your heart swell, and it's not going to be like an anthem that you sing or anything like that, but it is enough to look at and say, you know what, I have done something. And again, it's not like a boastful thing. It's deserved pride, I think. And whether you've lost 20 pounds or 200 pounds, it doesn't matter. Although if you lost 200 pounds, then yeah, you should be able to cheer a little bit more than those of us that lost 20 pounds. So, but whatever the weight is that you've lost, it's still something that you've achieved by working hard at it. And although we've tried to make it as easy as possible, and I feel like I'm repeating myself. I know I'm repeating myself now. We've tried to make it as easy as possible over the past year, but it's still a huge achievement. And it's not something that people are going to get unless they've really lived through it. Because I mean, we see how a lot of this is really where the discussion was originally going to go. We know what people see when they look at us. They see someone with no self-control. That we have a moral failing, that we simply won't stop eating. Not can't, won't. And they don't understand. And if you try to explain it to them, it just sounds like we're whining and we're making shit up, and that struggle is never going to be real for them. It's the same thing with alcoholism. Like I don't understand it. I mean I get it. I know I view it the same way as I would say an addiction to food or anything else. It's not a disease. There's no virus. There's no bacteria. It's you can say, well, it's a mental disease. Well, then so is overeating. But I see it as an addiction, just like anything else. Cigarettes, alcohol, food, it's the same thing. So, I can sort of relate a little bit that way, but I'm never going to get it the same way that an alcoholic would. Because, again, they aren't going to be able to understand when I say, well, then just have one drink. Get the nice fuzzy feeling after 2 or 3 drinks, and then just maintain that. You should be fine. What's the problem? They won't get it. It's for the same reason why someone says to us, well, then just have, one cookie. You'll get the sugar that you want and you'll be fine. Why? What's the problem? You don't understand. And they never will. But, so, I mean, it's not that we can go and sort of be boastful to these people about it. But we know inside what the struggle is like. We know how hard it is to say no to this and that and, everything, really, when it comes down to it. It's so difficult to just sort of exercise that control and to say no, although I really, really want it, once I hit this goal, maybe I'll have some, but right now I need to stay focused. I need to keep doing what I'm doing. And I think during this year we've been able to make that a lot easier for ourselves because we've changed it so much and we've changed it so slowly. And I mean, we could have reached these goals probably 8 months ago if we really, really pushed. And we know that we can. This isn't a matter of us saying, well, we simply couldn't do it without, doing it slow like this. We can. But it's so difficult for us. I kept saying it's, and I couldn't think of the word. It's so difficult for us to do that. And I think that without doing what we did over this year, I don't know if we would have reached. I mean, we obviously wouldn't have because we've tried so many times before. We've tried diets. We've tried joining gyms. We've tried, going one-on-one with people. We've tried Weight Watchers and dial things and deal meals. Was that deal meals or whatever? I mean, there are so many other things that we've tried and we've failed every single time because of it. And I'm sure that there are people that have started in on this year as well and have, stopped doing it, that they are doing their own thing, or else they just simply stopped with the weight loss. They're going to try again because we know what that cycle is like. We're going to keep trying. And eventually when they do find something that's going to work for them, then they'll have that success. But just having that information, knowing that, we fought hard for this. It's been, a fairly easy road over the past year to get to where we are, but we've done it regardless as to the difficulty of it, regardless as to who said we couldn't do it and who we told and whether you sort of went out for support or whether you kept it internal. You've been able to achieve this, and regardless as to the amount of weight that you've lost it, and you can continue to keep losing. I'm really buggering up a lot of the grammar on this, aren't I? Sorry. But if we stay on target, we should be able to keep going. And I think a big part of that is remembering all the little successes that we've had, those small victories of being able to put on our socks or being able to button our jeans without sucking in our gut for the first time. Having that realization, that I should probably tighten my belt. Like little things like that really just sort of reinforce what we're doing and keep us going. And it's not going to happen all the time. We might have one every 2 or 3 months, but it doesn't have to happen all the time. All it's going to take is that one little thing to go, yeah, you know what? I've had a shitty week. I may have gained this week, but overall, I'm 2 sizes smaller in my jeans. I can, walk up this hill. I can go up the stairs, and, I don't run the risk of drowning in my own fat when I'm asleep anymore. Even if it's something as simple as that, then we can hang on to that, and that's going to keep us going. And I mean, there's something to be said for support as well, which we'll get into tomorrow. But I think a lot of stuff that we have that just keeps us going is just how we internally feel about ourselves. And I think remembering those little things, it's very important, because it's very, very easy to sort of look at where we are just now and think, well, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm kind of shitty over here, and I've screwed up over there. And just like, people that have previously quit smoking or quit drinking or lost weight or anything else, we forget where we came from. And if you're to a stage now where, your fruits and vegetables are sort of the majority of the food that we're eating a lot healthier now. We don't deal with a lot of the junk food all the time that we did before, that you're doing regular exercise. It's kind of hard sometimes to think back and remember, well, no, this is all stuff that really would have been impossible for us. So try to keep that in context as well, that, yeah, you know what, I didn't exercise on Friday and I went over because I had, 3 handfuls of cashews and or like a big bag of peanuts or something. Keeping that in mind that, well, a year ago, if you were to say, well, a really shitty week is that for your snack, you had too many peanuts and you skipped 1 day of exercise. That is still a really good week compared to saying, well, this week I had a loaf of banana bread, 2 things of icing, 18 eggs, 4 pizzas, 26 burritos, and probably a live cat in there somewhere. Trying to keep things in perspective, I think, is very important as well, because it's very easy to look at where we are right now and still sort of beat ourselves up. I still do, and I mean, it's very natural. It's normal for us to still not like how we look and how we feel. That's why we keep going. If we were happy with the way that we were, we'd stop losing the weight. We'd go back to our old habits and everything else. But that's the main reason why I haven't done a body shot. I'm not going to say, hey, here I am with no shirt on, because it's just going to be like, that's very unpleasant all the way around for everyone involved. So that's normal. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't, still feel self-conscious and that you should still look at yourself and go, I don't like how I feel. We're allowed to feel shitty anytime that we want, but it's good to keep in mind that the shitty that you feel right now is not the same shitty that you would have felt a year ago. You've improved greatly, and whether it's a number on the scale, or whether it's a personal thing that you've run into, or whether it's your clothing size, or just the fact that you're not out of breath all the time, which is, I think, one of the big things for me, that I'm not sweaty and out of breath 24 hours a day, even when I'm sleeping, which is weird. Something like that should keep you going, and at the very least should at least, what are we going to say, notify? Should at least point out to you that you have made tremendous progress over this year. And it may not be as much as other people. It may be more, it may be less. It doesn't matter. That you have made some progress, which, let's face it, for the majority of us is more than we could have said for any other diet program or exercise or one-on-one or personal train. I've paid for personal trainers. I've tried just the same story as we've always told. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. The fact that we've made some progress during this year shows that, yes, this can work. It may not necessarily be working as fast as we want, but it is working. And all it's going to take is some time to keep going. But as long as we remember those little things from time to time, the things that point out that what we're doing is benefiting us, then I don't think we're going to have much of a problem and keeping on going. I have completely screwed up a lot of stuff on this one. I should probably start over, and now that I have everything on my head, go, oh, look at that. He went all the way through from beginning to end, didn't make any mistakes like that. But I guarantee you, if I stop this and if I stop this and start it over, I could have it written down, and at the end, something would happen. Like yesterday when I drilled on myself. So it could be that. But anyway, just sort of wrap things up because I've repeated myself. And okay, we're going to try to keep this one under half an hour. Sorry. But for those of you that are out there that are still watching this after 20 minutes, thank you. And just going, okay, is there a point to all this? You had started talking about, the subjects and how we don't like ourselves. It's fine to not like how we are right now. Keep it in perspective, though. And we are still way better off than we were a year ago. And although some people may say to you, it's not good to come at this from a place of hate because it's all negative. Negativity has its place. There's a reason why it's there. It doesn't always have to be sunshine and unicorn farts. It can't just all be everything's positive and great and awesome all the time, because you get sick and tired of it and it makes you want to punch someone in the face. So I think that we do need that negativity there just to be able to say, you know what, this is what I used to be like, and I don't want to be there again. That is going to be a much stronger motivation than, I think, looking ahead sometimes and saying, well, a year from now I'm going to be 112 pounds and exercising 5 times a day and flying all over the world and doing all sorts of things. So it's nice to have that balance. But I think as far as the positive part of it goes, I think it's important just to remember those little victories that we have had so that we don't lose sight of it. Because when we do start beating ourselves up and still feeling like shit and still saying, I've been doing this for a year and nothing's happening, I'm still fat, but we aren't as fat as we were. And we have a number of little victories that we have found along the way that can sort of attest to that, to say that this is working and that all the hard work that we've done has been paying off. And no, it's not going to be something drastic that you'll be able to have a before and after picture and say, this is me 3 months ago and this is me now. But at some point you'll be able to do that. And so will I. I just don't know. I think at some point I will do a before and after. Because I have a before with my shirt off. And it's fucking terrifying. Eventually at some point I will have an after. But I think that's a long way away. What if someone I know sees this? I can't show my boobs on TV. That would be horrible. Or the internets. YouTubes, whatever. Anyway. So anyway, yes. Positive, negative, doesn't really matter. Just keep in mind you have made progress. And you should be proud. It's not going to be something that you're going to be able to, pick up people at a bar with, but it's enough that you should at least be proud of what you've done for this year. So we're going to continue on throughout the week. Tomorrow, I was going to sort of bring it up today, but I figure if I do, it's going to be a 45-minute video. So we're going to try to cut that off at the legs, and we're going to talk about support and stuff like that, because although we sort of internalize a lot of stuff, I think it's important that we have that as well. And unfortunately, I've seen it a little bit more this week than I have in the past. The support seems to be waning for some people. So, but we'll deal with that later. We have quite a bit to just sort of tie up all the little loose ends at the end of this week. But for right now, I'm going to leave this video here. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, please poke the like button for me. In the meantime, keep it warm and fuzzy, and I will see you in the next video.